we're going to be talking about foreclosure consulting. That is how you can help people who are facing foreclosure, how you can help them, help yourself, and help somebody else, possibly a third party, creating the win-win-win. And y'all know I love the triple win. Okay. The reason that this is so effective is because when done ethically, foreclosure consulting allows you to help people out of a bad situation while building wealth for yourself. So I'm so excited. Oh, wait. That rhymes. Building wealth for yourself. Okay. That doesn't really go anywhere for me because it's just part of the process, but it is important to me that so many of us have big hearts and we want to make a difference in the world. And we sometimes feel like the only way we can make a difference is at our own expense. And I like to say we can make a difference at our own profit. We're profiting, they're profiting, everybody's profiting, win, win, win. All right. So we're going to be talking about foreclosure consulting. Our agenda for today, we're going to talk about some upcoming events. Y'all, I have been a little bit remiss on my upcoming Juneteenth conference, but I need your help to fill this room, y'all. I'm so excited for the conference. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Foreclosure Consulting 101, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity to dig deeper because let's be real. There is no way I can possibly give you years of experience with foreclosure consulting in just 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes if people ask questions, right? I'm not going to be able to pour all of that into you today. And not everybody who comes to a one-on-one class wants to dig deeper like that. So we're going to keep this at the wave tops. We're going to hit the high points. But if you want to dig deeper, I've got an opportunity coming up for you. Not this Saturday, because my big boy, my young man, will be home from college. But next Saturday, we're going to be doing a workshop in the morning. You can jump in there, learn this stuff, and then we can, if you really, really resonate with it, we're going to even have opportunities for you to dig even deeper with getting the contracts, getting the paperwork, all the things you need to be successful. All right. So I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. All right. So we're going to talk today about foreclosure consulting. By way of announcements, if you are in the greater Stephenville area, I do want you to join us for our domino toppling party on the last day of school, which is Thursday the 22nd. So school gets out for my little guy, gets out at about 1:20, and our party starts at 2. We're going to have pizza, we're going to have games, we're going to have domino toppling, and this facility we're going to be in, the Chillaxin Inn, it has all kinds of free play video games, air hockey, all the good stuff. So you want to be there. All right. The next announcement that I want to make is that our Juneteenth Legacy Authors Portal is open. I do realize that the deadline is this week, right? So the deadline is, I do believe, the 18th to give me your writing. So if you don't already have something written, this is probably not for you this year. But listen, a lot of us already have something written. We've got something that's been on our heart that we want to contribute. We've accomplished something, and we've just never felt like we had a venue to get that out to the world. This is your opportunity to join in our Voices of Legacy anthology so that you will be able to be a participant in this historic anthology. I know it's last minute. I know it's my fault it's last minute. I dragged the timelines out as long as I possibly could, but we do have, if we want it published by Juneteenth, we do need to have your manuscript next week. And so it can be as short as a little quick blurb. They can be as long as a 2,000-word chapter. And here's a cool thing. Listen, I know when people talk about anthologies, they want to charge you thousands of dollars to be in one. Well, we have a great deal for you. How do you like free? Huh? How would you like to tell your story? Get in our anthology absolutely free. Yes, you can do a quick story absolutely free. Now, if you have more details like me, or you're more verbose like me, or you like to write and talk more like me, yes, you are going to have a little bit of fee. But go now to juneteenthauthor.com and you will be able to find this portal that will take you to all the details of how you can participate. Okay. We also have the Juneteenth Legacy Speakers Portal. I will admit up front that I do need to update a few things on this because last year we let the speakers also submit into the anthology, and it just caused a lot of confusion. So if you see anything in there about the book, you either better hurry up and get that in or ignore it, because we split it out this year, okay? And so I'm so excited for Juneteenth, y'all. Now, if you're in Stephenville and you're in Erath, or you're in rural Texas and you're wondering why I care so much about it, you're going to have to go to last week and watch the training we did after the training. So we did our main Thursday night training, and then after that training, I gave an author's update, and I talked to you about why I'm so passionate about honoring the legacy of Juneteenth and what it means, whether or not it's a holiday, right? Like, we've been doing this since before it was a holiday. I understand they want to take it away and not have it be a holiday. That makes no difference to me. What matters to me is the what happened on Juneteenth and how that still reverberates in our culture today, and what we can do about it to rise above. Okay, so in any event, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter to me. It does matter to me. But you know what? Every time somebody gives you something, they always got their hand taking something behind their back. And so you just want to be careful about that. Okay, I'm going to stop digging that hole even deeper, and I'm going to get to my next announcement. Okay. I am not. This is hilarious. I am not making. I want to assure you, I have not made this mistake again. I don't know how many of you remember from last year. Like, I put the swag boxes out there and made them free, and it was like, and I guess everybody's bing 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 free radar went off, because they came in and was like, "Yep, I'm getting my free $40 box." Okay. Anywho. All right. So we did not make that mistake again, but you can participate in the conference, and you can join us live in Fort Worth. We are going to kick off in the morning with Opal's Walk for Freedom, commemorating her walks that she did from town to town to lobby for Juneteenth to become a holiday. We are also going to incorporate some of the events of the first ever Freedom Vibes Festival, put on by the National Juneteenth Museum, which will be opening up soon. All right. So some of their events have been added as optional events to our conference. We are not collecting funds for those. You got to go to that directly, but we are adding some of that in. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good celebration of people who have been able to pull themselves up. You know, everybody wants to talk about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But some people's boots are stuck in the mud and the mire, and it's a little bit more difficult to pull themselves up, but people are able to make it work. And that's what this conference talks about. How do you build wealth in a culture that systemically tries to prevent you from doing so? I got to a point where I was trying to really not bring out a whole lot of the advocacy and things like that I did, because I wanted to have peace for my kid and peace for my household and peace for the town that I live in. But like, my kid already doesn't have peace. He already gets called names, racial slurs and things like that. And we already have, like, almost every day it's another story. And it's just like, okay, where do the kids come up? Like, they come up, y'all, these kids come up with the craziest, most unique ways to use a racial slur. Okay. But at least it's not like Louisiana, when my oldest was in private school and he came home singing a song about the KKK. And I was like, do you even know what you're singing? And he said, no, this is just something all the kids at school are singing. And I was like, do you know what the KKK is? Y'all, there are two moments that I felt like a failure as a Black parent. Is when my sixth grader at the time did not know what the KKK was. And when he narrated, y'all, he narrated, we sold it and we made plenty of money for his college fund. The book from Dr. Boyce Watkins, It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. And the first iteration, my boy, my strong young Black man who is on his way home at this very moment, reads about Dr. Dre. Yep. I'm surprised I still have a Black card. Anyway, so for me, it's very important that I make a life that's better for my children. And what's happening in the world today maybe doesn't affect us here in Erath County where I'm living right now, but it affects people I know and love and care about. People who are scared to walk down the street and who are carrying their papers and afraid that even with their papers, they will still be detained because they are Black or brown. And so for me, this is, people who have lost their jobs with no reason and no recourse. Wow, I was not going to get into this until after my class. So I guess if you are in the class today, hang tight. I'm going to land that Juneteenth plane and we're going to get right into foreclosure consulting. But you know what though? You need to know who you are learning from. See, I didn't start my real estate investing out here in with all the land and all the properties. Okay. I started my real estate investing in the DC area, in Baltimore City, in Prince George's County, in Charles County. Okay. That's where I started my real estate investing. And the issues that people face there is different than the issues that people face here. I was telling some folks today, we had a group of the ministers and we had a wonderful, wonderful presentation from a group called Homelessness Help, who are trying to eradicate. Y'all, we have 50 something homeless children going to our public high school, and the school's got what? Maybe the whole district's got like 3,000 kids. I mean, it's a rural area. It's not that many kids, right? Like when I was in California, my graduating class was going to be 3,000 people. I was only there for a year and a half. I ended up moving to upstate New York, but my graduating class at Victor Valley, I think it was like 3,000 people. That's more kids than the whole district here. And so they're trying to do something about that. But when they started to talk, I started to talk about creating pathways for home ownership, and people kind of looked at me like they didn't understand what I was talking about. So then I said, okay, let me draw it out. I bought this house, somebody else bought this house, somebody else bought that house, and we bought the block and we turned those houses around. We bought them for $3,000 to $5,000. We put money into them, and then now we created pathways for home ownership. And some of our tenants did buy the properties from us. Some of our, rent to own, owner finance. Some of our tenants didn't. But either way, all of us made our money and then some, like 10 times the money we put into those properties. And then the people who are in the properties now have an opportunity to elevate their lives through home ownership, which they previously couldn't afford to do. And what it really takes to change communities, I'm not saying go broke to change communities. I'm saying somebody has to take the lead. Somebody has to say, you know what? It's time out for just profit. It's time to leave a legacy. And I'm here to show you how to leave a legacy and profit. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now that I've done run off all my rural Texas people, talking about Juneteenth, talking about why this is important to me, let's go ahead and talk about foreclosure consulting. Sometimes, and this is going to sound bad, but sometimes, never mind. I'm not even going to say that. Let me just get into this because I'm already 15 minutes in and I haven't even started yet, y'all. But some of y'all know what I was about to say. And that's what you're here for. You're here. It's like, let me give you another example. Let's just look, we already been offensive. Let's go all the way in on the offense. Okay. Now, if you are listening to this as part of the Ladies of Wealth podcast, I'm sure I'm going to use this as a podcast for something. I don't know what we would title it yet, but I do want to encourage you to join us on Thursday nights because we do these classes live. You can ask your questions live. You can get your answers live. You can watch my smiling face live on my YouTube, my LinkedIn, my Facebook, all that at JJ Knows the Way. All right. Now, since I've already busted the offensive barrier, I'm going to tell you a story about somebody who really, he says he didn't mean to do this. Okay. He says he didn't mean to do this. It just kind of happened that way. I might as well name him because when I name his conference, you're going to know who I'm talking about. So I did an interview a couple years back with a guy named Ken Krell, Krell. And he puts on events and he teaches people how to put on profitable events. And so they have a phenomenal business model. Uh, and so if you're interested in that kind of a thing, go out there and take a look at my interview with him from maybe 2 years ago. But one of the things that he does is he calls his conference Pride. It's like produce ridiculously something. What does the I stand for? It's ridiculously profitable events is basically what it is, whatever the acronym Pride is for. And he said, when you set up your event, if you already know that people are going to be offended about what it is you offer, something in your past, your background, your ethnicity. In my case, a lot of times the biggest offense that a lot of people have is my religion and the fact that Jesus Christ is my Lord, right? And so that's the biggest offense that people have for me. Like I used to speak on some really high access channels. And when I started when I showed my little mug, my new mug, hey, look at my new mug, Jesus is Lord. I wasn't even thinking, I wasn't even thinking, hey, I need to be neutral on this platform. I'm just like, look at my new mug, y'all. It has Cash is King, Jesus is Lord. I'm like all happy about my new mugs. Y'all, I got canceled so quick. I got canceled so quick. But you know what, though? The Lord didn't call me to speak to people who don't want to hear what I have to say. Right. And so what he was saying is when you have events that or you have an audience and you want to make sure that people in your audience are going to respect your views and your boundaries and the views and boundaries of the people who are naturally attracted to you, he said you should build in that, whatever that is, into your event because it becomes a natural filter. And it pushes people away who do not want to be engaged in business with you. Now, and I raise my hand and I'm like, well, is that why you named your event Pride? And he was like, huh? And I was like, is that why you named your event Pride? Because a lot of the people that were involved, I mean, I came for the business acumen, okay? But I noticed a lot of the people who participated in the conference, helped run the conference, were LGBTQ, and so, it was just like one of those, like, is this why you named your event Pride? And for him, it was the pride with the lion and everything. And he was like, no, that's not it at all. And I was like, well, it certainly does that. So if you have an event or if you have something that you want to do and you keep getting people that aren't a good fit, it's a good idea to then take a look at what you're doing and see if there are some ways you can build in some of those qualifiers. Okay. So I did not mean to do that when I started this off with Juneteenth. I just wanted to have the announcement out there. But since it happened, and I might as well continue on that business lesson. And then I'm going to talk about once I get enough to make a podcast on this topic, which is about 5 more minutes, then I'm going to go into foreclosure consulting. All right. But since we're on the topic, we need to understand. We need to understand that people are going to be offended. Somebody is going to be offended at you no matter what you do or what you try to not do. People are offended at you if you do. People are offended at you if you don't. If you push forward and you speak up and you wave the banner, then you are too brazen and you are too loudmouth and you are too critical. But if you say nothing, well, then now you're a yes man or a yes woman and you're just passive. Like, you cannot win for losing. So if the hierarchy of humanity, or at least the hierarchy of American culture, is set up to make you feel like no matter what you do, you cannot win, then please, sir, please, ma'am, don't worry about offending people. Now, the Bible does say the person who wins souls must be wise, okay? But I beg you to think about what wise means. Wise does not mean we don't ever speak up. Jesus himself overturned the money changers' tables in the temple because they had turned God's house into a den of thieves. If Jesus had been there like, well, I don't like this, I'm just going to pray for them. Lord, you see what they're doing. Lord, do something about it. Like, if that's what Jesus modeled for us, If that's what Jesus modeled for us, then I could understand. But you know what? Not only did Jesus not model that for us, but also you might note, if you are a student of the Bible, that the very person who tended to act brashly without thinking sometimes was the very person that Jesus said he was going to build, that you are the rock, I'm going to build my church upon, this doctrine that you have just revealed, because the Spirit revealed it to you. And in some churches, they look at Peter as the rock, and our church teaches that it's the doctrine that Jesus is Lord. But still, Peter was a pivotal key leader in the foundation of the church. You know who wasn't a pivotal key leader in the foundation of the church? Somebody you haven't heard of because they never took a stand for nothing. They were too afraid. People who were too afraid of being offensive, people who were too afraid to stand up, people who were too afraid to voice what the Lord had given them to say, those people aren't even in the Bible. The Bible does not say, and the Lord blessed so-and-so, 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 because they had so much faith that they kept their mouth shut, played small, and didn't rock the boat. That is not what the Bible says. In fact, if I go through the list, y'all, I'm not going to start preaching here today because y'all came for a real estate class, and we're going to get to the real estate class. And if you're listening onto the podcast, I'm going to do that real estate class on the next podcast. But my Bible, when it goes through the faith worthies were not people who played small. They weren't people who kept their mouth shut because you are going to get mad at them and you're not going to invite them to the fellowship anymore. Now, did some of them have some issues? Like, did Abraham lie because he didn't want them to know Sarah was his wife? They were afraid he was going to be killed so they could take Sarah. So he lied and said that she was his sister. And then of course he gets chastised for it. The Lord chastises, but then he walks away with so much wealth. I guess the next time it happens, he's like, well, it worked the first time, and the Lord had mercy the first time. I would not advocate that, okay? But listen, people who are successful move out. People who are successful understand that we have to take risks. And sometimes that risk is opening your mouth and being willing to offend, or opening your mouth and being willing to challenge, or opening up your mouth and being willing to be bold about what's on your heart when everybody else is trying to pretend that everything is okay. Some of us have been called to higher heights in the Lord and in community service and in our businesses, which our businesses, honestly, if you stop and think about it, there's a great book. Oh, no, I don't have it with me. I do have it in my Kindle. The Richest Man in Babylon. Doing well in business, for many of us, is our Father's business. Because when we do well in business, we impact communities, we impact the world, we impact ourselves, we impact our families, we impact the church. If all of God's people were broke, there wouldn't be anybody who had the Holy Ghost to give to the Lord. I want you to hear me when I say this. Yes, there are seasons of lack. Yes, there are seasons of struggle. Yes, there are seasons of humility and humbling ourselves. Like every day we should be humbling. We should be taking our talents and humbling ourselves before the Lord. However, that does not mean that everybody who believes in the Lord should be broke. Because somebody's got to pay for the building fund. Somebody's got to fund the ministry. Somebody's got to buy the soup that we feed to the hungry. And yes, the word says that the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, but the Bible also gives a blueprint for the wealthy on how to give their wealth and what to do with it and how to be wealthy and still stay saved. And in my book, the good book, my favorite book, all these different translations behind me, if the Lord put it in his book and gave us a blueprint, then that tells me somebody's got to have wealth. And it might as well be you, and it might as well be me. All right? So I don't want you to be afraid to offend today. Okay? I don't want you to be afraid today. And I believe, look, I'm going to do like Paul did. There were certain places in the Bible where Paul says, this is not the Lord speaking. This is me speaking, but I got the Holy Ghost. So I think this is good for you. This is not the Lord. I'm not walking in a prophetic word right now. I'm just telling you as one person who loves the Lord to another. I do believe I do believe that it's time for you to take your place amongst the financial leadership of God's kingdom. It's time for you to build that business. It's time for you to step out on that faith. It's time for you to write that book. It's time for you to produce that course. It's time for you to take up the banner and go forward in whatever it is that God has called you to do. And if it steps on some people's toes, so be it. If it offends some people, so be it. If the Lord told you to say it, say it. If the Lord told you to pray it, pray it. If the Lord told you to sing it, sing it. If the Lord told you go sit down next to somebody and don't say anything, go sit down next to somebody and don't say anything. Now, y'all know that's hard for me. Because I just want to say something, right? But there's been so many times where I've seen somebody, like when we used to have the church in the mall, and I would just walk around the mall, and there'd be so many times where I would see somebody sitting down, and the Lord would tell me, just go sit next to him. Just go sit next to him. And then he would do all the work. He would do all the ministering. He would do all the. And some of us need to go and step out on faith. We're so afraid of offending people. We're so afraid of nobody's going to like us. You know what's the worst thing that happens if nobody likes you? They don't like you. You go find other people. Okay? So I know that's not going to be well received by everybody, but somebody needed to hear that. And that's not for everybody. I think it's for most of the people that are watching me or listening to my podcast, but it may not be for you today. You have to work that out between you and the Lord. Like I was joking with a friend of mine the other day. She's learning how to stop being so petty, and I'm trying to learn how to be just a little bit more petty. Anyway, okay. I think we've wrapped up that topic pretty well. If you are listening to me on the podcast, again, Ladies of Wealth podcast, make sure you join us Thursday nights. And the next podcast that you hear, the next one's going to be on real estate investing. I hope that you will enjoy that and that you will participate in our real estate investing. But for now, let me go ahead and sign off on that part, and we'll get into our next class.